Good evening, everybody. The City of Peabody Zoning Board of Appeals meets this evening in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40A, and other applicable laws. Tonight's hearing will be conducted in the following manner. The Secretary will read the legal notice or state that such notice has been waived. All applications this evening will be heard in the order they were received in the City Clerk's office. The petitioner or petitioner's representative will present the subject application to the board. The chair may limit the length of all remarks. All parties in interest will be given an opportunity to speak either in favor or in opposition to a pending application, and the board may receive similar written communications to be placed on the public record. The petitioner will then be given the opportunity to refute any such remarks. The decision will be typed and filed with the city clerk. Once the decision is filed with the city clerk, there is a 20-day appeal period. In compliance with the open meeting law, this hearing is also being recorded by our clerk and by Pat TV. When you're at the podium, please speak directly into the microphone clearly and speak only when you're at the podium to ensure that you are on the record. Now, I'm going to explain that to you in terms that probably you can understand a little better. Can everybody hear me? Okay, when it is your turn, the secretary will read your application. You'll hear your name or your address. Come up to the podium, press the little button where it looks like a person is speaking, and you'll see the red. You'll see the red button, the red light. And then you state your name and address for the record and tell us why you're here. Obviously, we do have it, in front of us, but we need to hear it from you. We'll ask you some questions, and then I will say, is there anyone in the audience to speak in favor? Hopefully, you have already gone to your neighbors, because that is the best way to do this, to get a variance. Go to your neighbors, tell them what you're doing, see if they have any concerns. If they do, hopefully you can work it out. If you have neighbors, or usually it's just neighbors, they will come up and speak in favor. I will then say, is there anyone in the audience to speak in Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Is there anybody to speak in opposition? And if you have neighbors that don't like what you're doing, then they are going to come up and they're going to say why they don't think your addition or your garage or your deck should be built. And sometimes they have valid reasons, and sometimes they don't, and then we will question them again. You then have an opportunity to come back up and, refute that, explain to them whatever. But that's what I mean. If you go to them ahead of time, we can delete that whole aspect. And then we vote, and it's either yes, you're approved, or no, you're not approved, and yes, I'm sorry, but there are times that you are not approved, because if everything was approved, you wouldn't need a zoning board. Let me also say that, and this is the truth, this is not my opinion, in neighboring towns and cities, nothing gets approved. Nothing gets approved unless it's 2 inches. So this is a very, very, very fair board. Unfortunately, if you're asking for the sun, the moon, and the stars, you're just asking for too much relief. We either will say, come back next month, see if you can make something smaller or rearrange wherever it is in your yard. We give you another chance. Either you can or you can't. And look, I understand that you own the property and you think, well, look, I own this property. I want to build an addition. I want to build a garage. Why can't I? Because I own the property. I went through it myself years ago. For 1 foot, I needed 2 inches, and I got denied. Well, of course, we figured the whole thing out. But the reason that you get denied and that you can't build everything you want is because there are zoning laws and ordinances that are put into place. We don't make them. They're there. We're here to uphold them, or at least be fair enough to allow you to build something. I usually stop right there, and then we go right into the meeting, but I have to tonight talk about hardship, because it is truly evident this evening and has been evident in the past months that, and I get it, you have to put down on the application what is your hardship. And it's not explained to you. So people put down personal hardships. And that's not what we're looking for. So in reality, if you put down a personal hardship like, I don't want to use any that are here tonight.
Too many cars.
Well, or that you want to put a sunroom on your house because your in-laws are moving in and they're blind and they need sunshine. I don't know. You know, I mean, we get all sorts of personal reasons. A hardship for a variance has to do with dimensional relief, the topography of your land, the landscape of your property. Your property is fine. This was my problem. It was in a straight line and then it jutted in. So for me to build an addition on that little part, because of the way the land was, I needed a variance. If you have a river or a brook running on one side of your house, you can't build there, so you need a variance to build on the left. But you don't have enough room, so you need a variance. You have ledge, there's a boulder. You bought the house, oh, well, look at this, beautiful pine trees and this big boulder. Oh, now all of a sudden you want to build a deck. Well, you can't build it on this side because there's a boulder, so you need it on this side, but you don't have enough room, so you need a variance. That's a hardship. And anyone listening out there, you know, look, we're not going to say, oh, no hardship, forget it, we're not going to listen to them tonight. Of course, we would never say that. But we have to start looking really seriously at the hardship reason. And I just have to tell you, there was only one tonight that really was a hardship. Everybody else, your hardships are personal. So in reality, we could go home in 10 minutes and I could say, you know, everybody come back next month because you had personal hardships and you have to rewrite it, but we're not going to do that. So for everybody listening and for everybody out here, if you do have to come back for any reason, just realize that a hardship is because of the land, not because of your personal stuff. Now we'll begin. Number one is April Venuti.
Number one on tonight's agenda is the application of April Venuti at 7 Hamilton Road seeking relief to construct an accessory structure with proposed lot coverage of 1,250 square feet rather than 500 square feet required for the property located at 7 Hamilton Road. This property is located in an R1 zoning district.
Hi, my name is April Venuti. I live at 7 Hamilton Road in Peabody, and I'm looking to put in a garage on my land.
And I'm not going to say it, but you realize you can read what you put for a hardship so you understand.
I didn't realize that at the
Yeah.
time, yes.
So obviously, I'm not going to sit here and be an idiot and embarrass anybody, but, you know, I will probably say, so now you understand what I'm talking about. Okay.
Just want to build a garage on a property. And we didn't know how to really to file it, so we went through this processes. Oh, one more. Greener Homes Construction. Oh, Frank Smith. Frank Smith. Green Homes Construction.
Okay, so there's 500 square feet that is allowed, and you're asking for 1,250. Comments by the board?
Through the chair?
Yep.
Sorry about that. Yep, so generally, especially when there's no hardship with topography of the lot, we'll usually go 50% over that at like 750, something close to that. Did you talk to your neighbors about the location?
Oh, yeah.
You did? Okay, so nobody's...
Nobody's here.
Okay. But that's usually what we're looking for because we've, on every other prior basis, we've actually used that formula. So just so you know.
The chair. You know, when we look at these, you know, we understand that 500 is the allowable. You're actually asking for 2.5 times what is actually allowable, right? So with that being said, just looking at all right, the plan, it almost looks like your garage is going to be bigger than your house.
I'm sorry.
It almost looks like your garage is going to be bigger than your house square footage wise.
It's not gonna be.
Okay, well, whether it's there or not, we have to look at what's also in your yard, you know, the area. We've got a deck, we've got an above-ground pool, we've got a pool deck, and now we want to put on a garage that is 2.5 times its size. To me personally, I think it's too big, to be honest with you, okay? And, you know, without looking at, you inherited some cars, is that the idea? Well, you know,
Doesn't matter.
in order, if you look at the neighborhood, and I'm very familiar with Hamilton Road, all right, it's really gonna look crowded in your lot. And do you really want everybody's lot to look like that? So I'm having a difficult time with this one. Hopefully, you can reduce the size, because I'm really probably gonna tell you right up front that I'm not gonna favor a garage 2.5 times the size that's required. There's a reason why, and I'm going to be honest with you. You know, I had another life before I was on this board. Okay, and in that other life, I was part of the organization or the group that developed, amended the zoning ordinances. So I know that there's a reason why the zoning ordinances exist, all right? And there's a reason why a lot of time and effort went into the number that we feel allowed that is reasonable, okay? So to be honest with you, with that being said, I don't think that's a reasonable request, all right, just to house automobiles. You know, there's other options. If you're fortunate enough to have antique automobiles, there's other options that you can go to house them, or, you know, go outside of your. What are you going to do with them? I mean,
Can I
they're going to
speak,
sit in
please?
the garage and
Can I?
sit there, you know. And so your neighbor's going to suffer because you just want to put
Nice.
your antique automobiles in there, you know. So if there's any way you could reduce the size of that and still accommodate your automobies,
If you looked
that
at-
would be great.
If you looked at the print, how it was scaled, the garage will not look any bigger. The garage will be smaller. The height is only under 12 feet from the ground up. And you're not going to see the length from any road, from any neighbor, from anything. The heights, it will not overpower the house. We don't want it to look like that. We're setting it back behind the chimney, you know what I mean? So nobody can drive and by is going to see the left of it or the right of it. So all you can see is the face of the garage. The height of the gable will not be higher than 12 feet. And it's just deep. It's you know, not even 8.5-foot walls.
So I understand all that, but at the end of the day, 500 is what is allowed. We have had people come in with 1,250, with 1,000, and we don't approve it because it's too much. You're asking for too much of a variance. So I agree with, I was going to call you Senator. I agree with Mr. Osborne, and you know, I don't know if we'll hear from other people on the board, but unless you can reduce this and come back, I'm not in favor of it either.
To what size? Do we have to go back down to 500? Or can we go up to like 700 or 800?
I would say if you could keep it to 750. We haven't approved anything above that.
If I could just continue, I understand what you're going to see, but you've got to understand that, yes, we look at it as a case-to-case, but what kind of precedent is this as a board setting by saying that, all right, we're going to start approving 1,200 everywhere? Because once we do it for you,
I think
everybody's
every
gonna come back,
house
you
would be individual and not just every
I
common. I mean, she's
understand
got the
that.
land to do it, so.
Well, but individual for how it looks,
Right,
but
I understand,
individual,
yeah.
it's still, the square footage is the square footage. You can't,
I understand.
Again, through the chair, the hardship is concerning as well. If you're going to go back and reconsider the size, the hardship I'm having a problem with, never mind the size.
That was explained to us wrong, and we didn't understand that when she filled the application herself, and she didn't know what the hardship was. But I do understand what the president's saying, and earlier today what a hardship is, and we just didn't redo her permit.
And through the chair, what's the measurements of the current house?
28 by 50, I believe.
And we're looking at 25 by 50.
All right.
So we want to build
Actually,
basically
29.
the same size house, just not as
One
high.
story, yeah, just not as high, going
It's
the opposite
29
way.
wide. Franny, through the chair.
Yes.
It looks like on your plan here, too, that it's 6 feet off the main house, and the difference between the deck and the garage is even closer?
No, it should be 10 feet off.
On your plan here, it says 6 feet between the house and the garage, and then the deck is actually lined closer, which looks like it's about 3 feet or less.
No, it was 6 feet off the garage at the original, but I think we moved it to 10 feet on the print. But then the building inspector said you can keep it at 6 feet off the chimney, so,
Absolutely, it's curved.
It's right, it's on the house.
I mean, we'll move it to, I would move it to whatever you wanted. I would,
I think that, we can vote for this tonight if you'd like, but.
Not if it's not
I think
gonna
you know where
pass.
I think you know where it's going.
Yeah.
So I think that now that you've heard everybody, yeah, go.
I hope I'm done. Through the chair, I know you'll electrify it. Are you going to plumb the area?
no,
So, okay.
just electric.
So,
Just, for clarification again, if I heard correctly, that the plan in front of us says that this proposed garage is 6 feet away from the current house, but you're saying that's wrong, it's more than that.
We thought, because they said you can go 6 feet, but we thought, we originally had it at 10 feet, and then he says, oh, if you go 6 feet off the garage, off the chimney instead of the house. So it's really like a little over 7 feet would be the corner.
So, which brings up another problem for me is, this is the plan I was given to make a decision to vote on.
Yep.
This has to be accurate, exactly what it was. Because we've had projects in the city where folks build things on city property and other people's property, and it gets ugly for a whole bunch of people.
Yep. So
I would suggest if you're returning to us at a future date, that's your decision. This has to be accurate. You have to get
Okay,
this updated.
we've got mixed things from the building office. One said it was 6 feet, one said it was 10 feet. You tell me which you should be.
You tell us where you're proposing to put it.
I want to get as much as I can for as little amount of space. I don't understand where you're seeing 3 feet off the deck to the garage. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I didn't see where you're seeing the 3 feet off the deck to the building. Where's the engineered plan?
So I think what they're referring
Oh,
to, what,
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what that dotted line is on that print. That's not the deck over there. The deck doesn't go out that far. It goes out, it's flush with the corner of the house.
okay. So now there's a whole nother problem because now you need this updated. Yeah, this is all measured. And if this is wrong, then if and when you come back, somebody has to make it right.
Yeah, that would have to have been the engineer. I don't understand what that line is because that's not the deck there. They're showing, see? They're showing the deck goes out past the house, and it doesn't, and it doesn't.
Okay, so,
through the chair, one other thing I did notice when I was reviewing this is generally we only allow one accessory structure. You already have a shed, it's very small, it's probably pool equipment, so we're not really concerned
Yeah.
about that. But if anyone's watching, I do want people to know that our ordinance really only allows for one accessory dwelling as well, one accessory building as well, so. But I think You know, what we all agree with and what the chair is saying is you might want to continue this and come back with a plan that's more in line with the size that we usually grant, especially in lots
I
like this.
gotcha.
And
And make sure this is correct. So we need to hear from you that you'd like to continue this till next month.
Yes. Yes, ma'am, please,
No, just say for next month.
for next month.
Okay, Grace, what is that? What is that date? October 21st.
Okay,
continue.
thank you.
Can I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, this will be continued till next October.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next one is David Ankeles for Lowell Street.
Number 2 on tonight's agenda is the application of David Ankeles Esquire seeking relief to construct a 2-unit structure with proposed left side yard of 11.9 feet rather than 15 feet required, and right side yard of 11.9 feet instead of 15 feet required for the property located at 109 Lowell Street in an R4 zoning district.
Good evening. My name is David Ankeles. I practice law here, both in the city of Peabody and now in the town of Danvers. And I'm here tonight to represent the applicant, owner of 109 Lowell Street. It's the 109 Lowell Street LLC. 109 Lowell Street is a very deep, narrow lot containing approximately 16,503 square feet of land. It is occupied by a large residential building containing 5 bedrooms, a kitchen, and 2 1/2 baths, a common living room, and a common dining room. It also has a sun porch. It was previously known as the Charles B. Haven Home for Aged Men. It has, as I stated, 8 rooms, 4 bedrooms, 1 1/2 baths, the second floor. It had a matron's quarters with a bath, a living room, a common dining room, and it was operated by former Councilor Robert Blake, who was assisted by his daughter Lori. It was a 501c3 charitable corporation. And it was there for the purpose of providing a home to homeless veterans primarily, and to homeless men. It was established back in 1903 when this lot was originally created. And normally there were 4 men and a matron occupying the building. In 1980, John Jeffers of Jeffers Lumber became president of the charitable corporation. I worked with John on a pro bono basis for a short period of time until about 2008, when he became very ill and funds ran out. When the building closed approximately 3 or 4, maybe 5 years ago, I'm losing a little bit track of time now, but it was totally unoccupied. This request is to allow the conversion of the rooming house to a 2-family and allow the construction of a duplex to the rear on the existing 16,503 square foot lot instead of the required 30,000 square feet, while maintaining left and right side yard setbacks of 11 feet 9 inches instead of the 15 feet required. One of those sidelines is a pre-existing non-conforming sideline, and I think if you look at the history of this lot and the zoning in that area, you'll find that at one point in time, it was zoned R4, and you could have a 4 up to 4 units there, and one of the amendments to the zoning ordinance changed it from a 4 unit or multi-unit zone with 30,000 square feet or 750 square feet per bedroom. It then changed back, or changed again, not back, but changed again from 750 square feet and 30,000 square feet, thus making the lot unusable within a Residence 4 district. And that's why it continued as best it possibly could until approximately 4 or 5 years ago as a rooming house for homeless men and aged veterans. The applicant has been before the Historical Commission to obtain and has obtained a release and direction as to how the existing structure should be rehabbed. The Commission has asked that the facade and elevations of the original building be maintained and that there be wood siding and wood windows, not vinyl windows, of the same size and shape. The applicant has agreed to those conditions and will continue to work with the Historical Commission. I believe that the architect has been, Mr. Crowell has been in contact with the Historical Commission, has committed to continue to cooperate and create a building and rehab that is in line with the original structure built in approximately 1903. The size and cost of rehabbing the existing structure together with the shape of the very deep and narrow lot makes the project very difficult. Those issues, cost and shape, coupled with an existing retaining wall along the eastern bound and the old existing 16-foot right-of-way, 8 feet of which at the beginning is on this lot and 8 feet of which is on an adjoining lot, coupled with the cost of maintaining the historical facade and elevations requested by the Historical Commission, add to the financial difficulties and physical hardships this project faces. If you look at the plan, you'll see along the easterly bound, the right-of-way, 8 feet and 8 feet, and you'll see a retaining wall that is necessary to maintain the existing topography, which again makes the lot extremely difficult to develop as you go forward. The shape and depth and the topography and retaining wall and right-of-way all combine to support this request for the variance needed to upgrade and develop the residential potential of this lot. The rehab of the existing residential structure from a rooming house to a two-family in conformance with the requests and requirements of the Historical Commission will result in a very appropriate and positive contribution to the area. We have been to community development and we have been to talk with the city planner, and they have shown support for the developer in this case and support for additional housing. The developer here, we call him Rafi, has developed a house within Ward 3 on Winter Street that obtained and a variance and was built in conformance therewith from this board, and for which he has received a little bit of praise for the work that he did. He's known to the city. He's done a good job elsewhere, and I believe that he'll do a good job here. I'll be happy to answer any questions that the board has. I have copies of simple elevations for the front and right and left side, the easterly and westerly side of the building, that conform to the request of the Historical Commission. They were concerned with the original building to which an addition was added. If you look at the lot layout, you'll see that there was the additional building and the additional, there was the original building and the addition to the rear. We are not going to change the original building at all. We're simply going to improve it, put the siding in, and make the windows and the facades conform to the requirements of the Historical Commission. Again, I'll be happy to answer any questions that the board has with regard to the plan or what we intend to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Angeles, for that presentation. It's nice that you went and spoke to community development and historical and everybody else. It's just unfortunate that we have not heard from those people at all. I'm going to let the board comment on this petition.
Question through the chair for the applicant, or maybe through the chair. Why is this application, why is Attorney Angeles listed as the applicant here? Is he the owner?
I think may I respond? I think the application reads my name for purposes of correspondence on behalf of 109 Lowell Street LLC.
And just
Through
again,
the chair, if I may ask, who's the principal of 109 Lowell Street LLC?
Florenco Raffaello here.
Huh?
Florenco, I'm not sure I pronounce it correctly.
He's the
but-
developer?
Yes.
The owner and the developer?
Yes, yes. He is not the builder, but he is the owner and the person developing it. We have also the builder here.
So who, okay.
and
Could you just repeat the name for me again?
I'm sorry?
I don't recollect him doing any other projects within, is this the first project he'll be doing within the city?
No. There was a project, I believe, on Winter Street.
Dave, you have to speak to us and you have to speak to the microphone. You
Yes.
can't follow up
Yes,
with the board.
Florio, would you tell the board what you've done?
Good evening. My name is Rodolfo. This will be my second project. My first project was located in 10.5 Winter Street. It was originally it's a two-family. Definitely, you can miss it. The buildings just stand up really well coming
Okay.
up.
Are you the owner of the property?
Yes, that's correct, sir.
Okay.
Rodolfo Florencio. Yes, man. Yes.
Before we go any further, I know we have other comments. I just want to also comment that the hardship is not a hardship.
Through the chair on that very comment, Attorney Angeles talked about topography, retaining wall, shape of property here in person, but I find it odd that none of that's reflected in the hardship in this document in front of me. I find that concerning.
Through the chair, I was actually a little bit confused, Attorney Angeles. When I first read this, I was wondering if you wanted to split the lots and put a dwelling on each lot, but now we're going to have one dwelling on a main thoroughfare with two residential structures that are multi-unit. And I actually find that request itself confusing without any hardship. So I guess if you have support from any of the boards and commissions in the city and you'd want to continue this just so we could take a look at them, that would be fine. But I think we're all expressing the same issue here because I was really confused with the application, to be honest with you.
Through the chair, yeah, if I could. I think it's nice what it used to be used for. I think it probably was very helpful to a lot of people, but when you dig into this, that use is gone. I mean, it's not a home for aged men. It's not a home for homeless veterans. It's just a structure. So what you're really trying to do is put two dwellings into one area. You know, the purpose. What's the purpose of the front unit that exists now? In light of what you just said, it's just going to be either apartments or a dwelling for somebody to buy. So, and it's no different than anybody out house shopping right now. Right. You can either buy the front or the back unit. So I think really what you're really asking us to do is to say, hey, we got this bad shaped lot, but we really want to maximize it So we want to put 2 dwellings in there instead of 1. It really doesn't fly, because, I mean, if the front dwelling served the purpose like it was designed to serve, I might think about it. You know, if you were going to combine the 2 and it was going to stay a home for homeless veterans, and homeless veterans were going to occupy both units, that's a good cause. That's an admirable thing to do. But I think what we're really trying to do is to say, yeah, it used to be this, but we're just going to build 2 houses and hopefully we can fill them. So I'm a little skeptical in this one. Thank you.
Yeah, through the chair, I just want to piggyback on Barry. If it was even a little bit of an extension of the existing dwelling because of the shape of the lot that goes all the way back, I think that would be a different story than putting 2 separate multi-unit dwellings on one plot of land, which is, I don't know, nothing I've ever heard of before. So.
I think if I may, Madam Chairman, when this lot came in, when the zoning ordinance came into effect, an R4 district allowed a multifamily, in other words, something more than a 2-family structure. And at one point in time, at the original point in time, after this lot was created, the law said that you could have a 4-family or 4-unit structure or 4 units on an R4 lot if you provided 750 square feet per bedroom, which this project does, or you could provide more if you had 30,000 square feet. The ordinance was changed, and it then said 750 square feet per bedroom and 30,000 square feet. So what you have is an R4 district that allowed originally, and that's why I haven't asked for a variance, because the lot itself is grandfathered for R4 district, and the use at 750 square feet per bedroom. And I think that's why when the building inspector looked at this, he did not say that a variance was required for the additional bedrooms involved. His comment was, I believe in the denial letter, that the only variances requested in this, or required in this, was the 11.7 square side yard setback on the building.
I think, if I may, through the chair, I think you speak to my point, is that, and the reason I asked about the projects that this developer has done, all right, is it doesn't matter what the ordinance was before, after, or in between. This developer bought this land knowing what the zoning ordinance says, right?
The answer to that is yes, and the zoning ordinance was grandfathered, the requirements.
It's like me going to Las Vegas, okay? I take the dice and I put all my money down, and I take a chance whether I can cash it into $1 million or I give it to the casino. And I think that's what a developer does. They buy land knowing what the rules are, right? And sometimes if they get the ordinance, fine. They get the variance, fine. If they don't, well, the dice didn't quite turn their way. And looking at this project, I'll be honest with you, Dave, I'm not inclined to let the dice go their way. It just doesn't, it just, there's something about this I don't like. And I don't think it's a good fit.
I think you've missed the point of what I said with regard to the grandfathering of the lot. Initially, in an R4 zone, you were allowed a living unit if it had 750 square feet per bedroom, if the lot had it. So if you initially went in an R4 district before the ordinance was changed, if you had a 2-unit or a 2-bedroom unit, you were required to have 1,500 square feet. Now, if you multiply that by 4, you come within the requirement of that particular zoning ordinance at that time. Under Section 6, if in fact the zoning requirement is increased over that period of time, it does not apply. You have a grandfathered lot, and I believe, and I don't intend to put words in the building inspector's mouth, but I believe that the reason he denied my original request was because we didn't have the sideline. And what I've tried to point out to the board is that you have a hardship with regard to that requirement because you have a decent-sized lot, it's very narrow, and it's very deep. You also have that lot encumbered by a retaining wall required because of the topography of the lot. Those are physical characteristics, I believe, which do in fact support the term hardship. In addition to which, you have the 16-foot right-of-way.
Anybody in the audience to speak in favor? Anybody in the audience to speak in opposition? Hearing none, the matter is before the board.
Move to close the public hearing. Move to approve.
Roll call vote.
No.
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 No, I'm sorry you've been denied. Number 3, Robert Pisa, 11 George Road.
Number 3 on tonight's agenda is the application of Robert Pisa, 11 George Road, seeking relief to replace existing breezeway and a 1-car garage with a new living space and a 2-car garage with a proposed front yard of 20 feet rather than 25 feet and a proposed right side yard of 10 feet instead of 20 feet required for the property located at 11 George Road in an R1 zoning district.
Good evening. My name is Robert Pisa. It's my wife, Teresa, and we reside at 11 George Road in Peabody. We're looking to remove an existing breezeway and a 1-car garage that was built in the 60s, and as we head into retirement, we'd like to get both cars into a garage and rebuild the breezeway into a living space and add a small loft-type bedroom above using dormers as opposed to a full second level. So we're trying to keep it as low as possible, use dormers as rooms, and in that space up there would be a bathroom and a loft for visiting guests and relatives only.
No cooking up there? No kitchen?
No.
No.
And just for a point of reference, you don't have a hardship either. Everything you wrote was personal stuff. Just so you'll know, in case you ever come back for whatever.
Through the chair, I was at the property this morning or this afternoon at some point today. Specific question to the applicant. I noticed 2 accessory structures on your property that aren't currently listed on this plot plan on the left-hand side of your property. What are those?
One is a pod that I rented to empty out the garage in the event, I move forward. And the other one is a tent shelter that when I was a contractor, I have my ladders and staging and planks that are in that green shelter.
So are you going to remove that green shelter at some point?
I'm going to eliminate that after the project.
And I'm just curious, did you get the pod
The pod is temporary.
before how do I want to put this diplomatically? I'm not diplomatic. So did you get the pod thinking that this was going to go through?
I did get the pod in preparation of emptying the garage, trying to get ahead of it and move stuff out.
That's fine, that's fine. I just,
Yeah.
And again, to the chair, just regarding the hardship concern, you know, I'm not an architect, I'm not a builder, but what I could see of that back garage that's current, that condition of that wall, you might want to look at that as a hardship. It looks like you have some damage back there.
The down low?
Yes.
Yes. That is, yeah, the shingles were built, it's so low to the grade, the splash from the rain has. So that would be, that's going to be taken off and all re-sided. So the sheathing and siding will all be new to, in conjunction with the new addition toward the right.
And again, through the chair for clarification, the pod in the back, how long's that been on the property?
It's been July, I think I had
Okay.
it dropped.
And the, what's the dome thing called again?
The shelter,
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long's that been there?
That's been there a couple years.
Okay.
When I had my contracting. It's just it's full of ladders and planks and staging.
okay, so, just so you know, and I'm not even sure, Grace or Lisa, maybe you know, there's a time limit, and you're supposed to have a permit for that pod.
Okay.
You might want to go to the building department and get that,
Yes.
especially if this goes through and it's going to be there for a while. There is a time limit, and you need a permit. And you did say that green tent will be removed at some point, that green, whatever it is. Any other comments?
Just, again, I'm going to be very clear. You know, generally speaking, I don't have issues with the project. It's just, the plans in front of me are inaccurate. The pod's good, that stuff has to be shown for us to see that. I would suggest that be cleared up somehow on this plan. I noticed you have two front doors, if you will, in the property currently, the one on the right-hand side. What was in front of that door
There were
prior?
some stairs there that were in unsafe condition. The stairs on the left, on the main house that I had installed, while I had those removed, because I wanted to put the new ones, because I put the front new facade on the home. While I had workers there, I opted to remove those because they were unsafe.
Makes sense. Again, through the chair, and I apologize for 6 million questions, but have you spoken to any neighbors?
I've spoken to all my neighbors, yeah, you know, front, back, left, right.
And any of those supply any written documents?
They were all very supportive. The woman I'm living, the one that I'm encroaching, she babysat me when I was a kid, so she welcomes the project because we've been neighbors forever.
Sir, I've been on the board a couple of years now, and it's comforting to me as a board member to see something, even if they handwrite something out and say, Joe and Sammy came and talked to me, I'm okay with this.
Okay, yeah.
God forbid we
I was
approve
just
this
gonna
and
say that.
we find out after the fact that all your neighbors absolutely hated this project. I'm not saying you're not being
Yeah.
truthful, but it would be helpful for me.
And
Absolutely.
I was just going to say that to you and for anybody else listening. If you do go to your neighbors and they say, yeah, this is great, we have no problem, just have them, or you can write something out, blah, Jan Smith is my neighbor and she has no problem with it, and have her sign it, because, look, I'm just going to say it. We have people come up and they lie to us, just like Chris said. And, oh, my neighbor doesn't have any problem, and next thing you know, that your neighbor's taking you to court. So have something written.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Obviously, you don't need it, you're not going to do it tonight, but just for a point.
No, understood.
Anybody else? Yes.
Through the, so the garage is actually 43 feet long and 32 feet wide?
That's, yeah.
So the
From
5
what-
feet you're looking for in the front, the garage is, it's a big garage.
There's a, I'm asking for to come forward. I'm asking to come forward for, when my truck is in the garage, I can actually walk around the back of the truck and have room
Am I on the
between
right
the
one?
tailgate and the garage door to walk. Because currently it's tight walking around the garage, around the back of the truck.
Yeah, but this is a really big garage, 43 feet, and even you're
That is-
asking for 5 feet in relief in the front. I mean, maybe the side yard, but the front, you're bringing it, I mean,
Because I'm leaving.
is it bigger than your house? How long is your house? It doesn't say on this plan.
I think it's
The
only
house is-
13 feet on the side.
44, I think it's 40 feet, 24 by 44 or something
So
like
you're
that.
doubling the size of your house.
It's, there's an the existing breezeway and the existing the garage, which adds up to 32, I believe, which will be removed. And I'm leaving the back existing workshop, and I'm just adding beside that existing workshop, which will stay, I'm adding the workshop, which is the additional space. So the garage where the vehicles will be is the same depth, but requesting 5 feet toward the street.
Right, so, Jamie, I don't know if you see that, they're going to take some of the existing structure away and then just add 13 feet. That's how I read it, am I correct?
Say that again.
You're taking some of the existing structure away, which is the breezeway, and you're adding
Correct.
just 13 feet.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Through the chair, Keith, could you say that again?
It looks like, so it looks like they're proposing to take that existing structure away that's on the left side of that bigger part and adding 13 feet in length, in width, I'm sorry, and 43 feet in length. So they're not adding 35 feet.
For clarification through the chair, it looks like it's, the plans are very difficult, but it looks like the new proposed addition, garage addition, will be 5 feet further towards the street. Is that correct?
Closer to the
Only 5 feet?
Correct.
Not double as
Correct.
James had thought?
Just the garage itself.
Right. So currently, the house stops here. You're proposing to go 5 additional feet forward. Same depth of the house.
The
just
breezeway
5
part,
feet.
the breezeway part is staying existing. It's just the garage itself for ease of movement around the vehicles.
Anybody in the audience to speak in favor? Anybody in the audience to speak in opposition? Any other questions by us? Okay.
Chris, we're going to move to close public hearing. Second. And then, Chris, is there any conditions you want to add something to the plans or anything? Those two structures seem temporary, but that's up to you if we're going to put it forward for approval.
I believe the plan should have those listed on it. Because this will be the record. This will be the document that gets recorded. If they're there, they should be on the plan. I would be okay with the
You
condition
understand what
that
he's saying?
the
You
plan
need
gets
to
updated.
Probably give this back to Mr. Mello and have him put the other structures on here, because this is what will be recorded.
Yep.
And once
So
that's submitted, then you...
it has to be correct.
Understood.
Motion to approve with the condition that the plans be drawn with all existing structures.
Roll call vote. Roll call vote.
Can't write as fast as you talk. Yes.
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 Yes, you're all set, you've been approved.
Subject.
Subject to your condition. Number 4 is Scott Dixon.
Number 4 on tonight's agenda is the application of Scott Dixon, 346 Lowell Street, seeking relief to build an additional accessory structure, a garage, with proposed 950 square feet, with 500 square feet is required for the property located at 346 Lowell Street in an R1B zoning district.
Good evening. We are the applicants,
Name and address for the record. Name and address.
Tony Dixon, 346 Lowell Street, and my husband, Scott Dixon. We are the applicants. We are here tonight to seek approval for a permit to construct an accessory structure on our property. Last year, we purchased a temporary carport that we affectionately call the Carmadillo. It's a fabric and metal tube frame structure that looks a bit like an armadillo and covers our automobile. It worked pretty well until a high wind created issues, and because of that, we decided to build a more permanent structure. Our lot is not a normal square lot or even a corner lot. It has 12 sides and totals just over an acre of land in an area that has typical lot sizes of 10,000 square feet. The original development of the land was done during the ownership of Vincent and Marion Raponi almost 30 years ago, and was done to subdivide the one lot to accommodate bringing families on the property. My mom and dad were Vincent and Marion Raponi, and we worked together to develop the land on 346 Lowell Street and built the home where we are today. When we originally built our house 24 years ago, we chose to locate the house on the back portion of the lot to allow for a teardrop-shaped turnaround driveway to allow for easier access for deliveries, including oil trucks and other services for the home, as well as for regular traffic. We chose the location of this garage as it is level and requires little prep work, excavation to complete, and it offers the most handy access to the house. The building itself requires no poured foundation and will instead sit on solid stone pack with a 4-inch layer of 1.5-inch washed pea stone. Barnyard of Ellington, Connecticut will simply deliver a completed garage and drop it onto the prepared stone pad and hurricane tie it to the ground. We have hired a wetland scientist, and his report has been included in the submitted documentation. The report was accepted and approved by Lucia Del Negro of the Peabody Conservation Commission as a small project with no impact to the distant wetland area. It should be noted that the wetland scientist is a consultant to the City of Peabody and is highly respected by the Conservation Commission. The setback measurements are all within the ordinance. We did review various definitions of overall lot coverage with other cities and towns, which are different definitions than the ordinance. We did find it interesting that all existing buildings, as well as the proposed garage, including the house, is less than 4.6%. if we take all the structures and divide it by the lot size. Though Peabody does not use this calculation, we want to point out that the intent of showing that we are not intentionally trying to overbuild our property. In most Peabody residential lots, an equal-size home, 40 by 40, equaling 1,600 square feet, would be placed on a 10,000 square foot lot, making the overall lot coverage 16%, almost 4 times what we are presenting. It is truly the odd shape of our lot that does offer a lot of space to be able to build a supporting structure to the home we've built and located at a useful location to us and to improve the value of the home. The building itself would have the same look as our house, and so it is complementary addition and not something that would appear out of place. We hope that these factors will demonstrate the need and recognize the efforts and expense to bring forward and ultimately award a variance to move the project forward. We thank you, members, for your time and consideration.
Through the chair. I guess my question first we're going to start with is you were granted a variance for an auxiliary structure 16 by 28. Yet you say that your new auxiliary structure is simply going to be used to store your automobiles. Well, what's going on with the 16 by 28 auxiliary structure?
We moved a number of tools out of our basement that really took away from the home. When we moved in, there was no garage, there wasn't anything. I have a number of tools that are woodworking tools as a woodworking hobby.
And you got a structure to put them in.
And so that's really what that structure is for. So there's no room to put a car in there because it takes that entire floor.
Okay.
So this additional structure is strictly for the use of the car. And again, the structure that we had as a temporary structure, we thought would be something that would work, but high winds have the potential to create a hazard.
Yeah, but you said that your armadillo got blown away by the wind, not your 16 by 28 auxiliary structure.
Right, but that, you are correct.
It's a two-story garage.
Right. So your auxiliary structure is already, from what we can see, a 2-story garage.
Correct.
Yeah, correct.
Correct.
Now, I'll be honest with you. You chose to build your house so you could have a circular driveway. That was your decision. I don't know anybody that's going to put an auxiliary structure in their front yard. Because if you put it in on that circular driveway, unless your house is orientated a lot different than what I see in the picture, you're basically putting your garage in it. You're not going to put it in front of the other garage, so you're basically putting it in the front yard.
The front yard is about 100.
Front area.
It
How's
is a
that?
whole front in front of the house that has frontage back to Lowell Street, and there's hundreds of feet there.
Oh, I'm familiar
So
with
we're
the
picking
property.
one
You know,
one side that has.
That's not an issue. And another issue I have, all right, and I know you addressed it in your presentation, was that there's wetlands there, and you hired a consultant to make a determination as to whether this would be good, and you submitted it, and you said it was approved by the Conservation Committee. We have absolutely nothing from the Conservation Commission saying that you applied, you asked for a determination, or you submitted a determination. Because I'll be honest with you, and when I worked for a living, I hired a lot of consultants, and if that consultant, and I'm not saying this happened, so don't get me wrong, but I'm a little bit leery because if that consultant didn't say exactly what I wanted him to say, I told him that before you get your check, you better go back and rethink this thing.
I would indicate that listed on the site right now.
Yeah,
the conservation.
and you know, I want to hear from the Conservation Commission. I want to see that you went to the Concom.
They have. They've
I
they've
don't
signed
have
off.
anything.
They've signed off. It's,
Do you
it's
have anything?
We
indicated-
don't have
Says they
anything.
signed off?
It's on the website.
Huh?
Well,
It's on the website.
It's on the, oh, all right, okay.
So, like
All
I
right.
say, I spoke to
Well,
Lucia
I'm going to
several-
be honest with you. I'm with
There's
the
no
wetlands,
restrictions that we understand.
with the location, with the fact that you know, that you have no other choice but you chose to put your house where it is. The hardship is created by you positioning your house on the lot where you have no choice but to put it in front. No, it's not a location for an auxiliary structure. It's close to it's so close to the wetlands that you had to get a determination, and the fact that you already got a variance for another one. and it's well over the allowable coverage. So I'm really not in favor of this one. Thank you.
Through the chair, for my peace of mind, Mr. Osborne talked about the variance for the two-story shed. That's shown in the plot plan in the back of your house, correct?
That is correct.
There's another shed to the left of your property that's yours?
That is correct.
What's the size of that shed? About.
8 by 12.
And there's a two-story garage as well. Is that attached to the house?
That's the one that's behind the house.
That's the two-story shed?
That is correct. That is
That's
correct.
a beautiful shed.
It is, and it's the same look for this additional building, and so
It's got a dormer on it.
may I jump in for just a second? Or no? I'm
I
sorry.
just have a question. Is anybody living in this second floor of the shed? It's got a nice dormer on it. It looks beautiful.
No, no.
Nobody's living up there?
No,
What do we
sir.
use that for?
It's a rec room, and so it's just a storage area more than anything else.
There's no water or bathroom.
There's no water, there's no bathrooms,
But there
there's
is
no...
electricity and stuff, because I remember you when you came to get that variance, right?
Well, it's a wood shop.
We have a wood shop, so I definitely have to have power
He
there.
said it was a rec room.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, the first floor, there's, the first floor of that building is all woodworking tools. So I generally build guitars, and I build for charities, and I work with Ernie Bach Jr. to build him guitars for his foundation. So I'm trying to do as much philanthropic work with the space in my house, and all of those machines were in our basement.
And
it
I don't want
made
to...
it a really dusty environment in the home. And the reason why we built that structure was to put that out there and get that dust out of the house. So that's really what that building was built for. And this is a totally separate thing, and there's no restrictions, as I understood, in either the ordinances or in the questioning of the planning board
Okay,
of how
so
many structures.
there are a couple of things. First of all, you have neighbors, I believe, over there that can't hear you because you're not talking
I'm
directly
sorry,
in.
yeah.
The second thing is, let's not lose sight of the fact we're here for dimensional relief. We're not here for, and I know this is going to come out wrong, and I don't mean it to come out wrong, but we really don't need the background of your work. You know, we're here for the dimensional relief. And I think that there's a piece that, you know, somebody has forgotten to bring up. So it's 500 square feet, and we went through this on number one, that's required, and you want 950 square feet. So you are still well above what this zoning board has allowed for accessory structures, garages, whatever. I think that also has to be said, but so be it.
I think through the chair, just to add to, there are several other accessory structures which generally is not allowed to, so it's even another form of relief. So,
I mean, I would be willing to take the smaller shed that's in the back and remove that and go back to the two structures. So to build the new one that we have, and that would reduce the square footage. Everything that's in that shed is things like a lawnmower. The snow blower that we have, I don't even have room in there to be able to put that in there. So now that goes in on that first floor. So this building would be big enough to remove that other building, relieving even further square footage off that.
But you're still going to ask for the accessory structure, this new accessory structure?
Correct.
Okay.
In exchange for the other building.
Through the chair, just again, just back to the 2020 zoning board approval. That board approved that beautiful dormer shed of 448, he's already has 448 square feet in that one building. He's still got a 50 square foot one he's willing to take down, and he's asking for another. He's already at 500, give or take a couple feet.
Through the chair, what's this picture of?
That's a rendering, not even a rendering, the actual building that's sitting on Barnyard's lot that would be closely resembling what we would have. The color and siding is a little bit different.
We don't take closely resembling, we have to have exact.
Well, but it's exactly like the building that's in the back. It's the exact same company, it's the exact same siding color, everything is the same. So they don't have a building built for us in that siding color, so they give you building plans and their building that they have so that you can see it.
Okay.
So again, the whole idea of lot coverage is the part that I really struggle with in the way you're looking at it. I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm saying the ordinance is really designed, I would think, logically, to not overbuild a lot. I think that's the intent, right? And so we're talking about a 49,000 square foot lot. If you take any lot that surrounds us at 10,000 square feet and you put a 40 by 40 house, you're at 16%. But because we moved our house to the back to create access, easy access for our property and anyone that comes to it, we're penalized. Because when you actually take the square footage that's behind the house, it's about as big enough to build a doghouse. There's nothing there. And we have 49,000 square feet. We have over an acre of land. And to put this building on is not overbuilding. It's creating utility for what we want it for, to protect our vehicle. That's our only intent, sir.
Through the chair, I'm just a little confused, okay? Do you have a business? You told me you start building guitars for Ernie Bach Jr. Is that a business that you run?
I own a business, but I don't run a business out of
Oh, no, I'm just saying.
I own a business, yes.
Okay, so.
But it has nothing to do
But
with...
you just told me that you build guitars there because you do business for Ernie Bach Jr.
No.
Giving cars to charities. And that's why I'm so confused. It's a workshop. It's a guitar place. I do charity work for Ernie Bach Jr. What's going on in that thing?
I have a full-time job, and I travel around the country. That's my work is on the road, and I'm on the road about 180 days a year. And so I travel. My work is on the road. It's not sitting there running a business. It has nothing to do with that. This is a hobby I've had for 40 years. And so I build things. I work on the house. I built the whole interior of our house. I built our kitchen. I built everything in it. And I also play guitar. And so I've been building guitars for years. And I build, and I love to be philanthropic with that opportunity and build for people that can do something good with it. But that is not a business. That is just my own thing. I can build guitars. I can build widgets. I can build whirly gigs. Whatever I want to build. Again, I really come back. I want everyone to really think about the overall square footage of that lot, and we're talking about an exchange for that other building. Is kind of a way to say we're willing to bend, but we need something for the car, and I don't have a place to put my car.
I really appreciate your thoughts, and I applaud you for looking at other cities. Unfortunately, you're in Peabody now, and we're going to go by the Peabody zoning ordinances, and whether you agree or disagree with the lot coverage for our zoning, well, I'm sorry. We're here to uphold the zoning. You have a structure. You have more than one structure. You say you've got this huge lot, but it's kind of a different shape of a lot. I mean, like you said, a lot of it is not usable, and a lot of it you have to stay outside the environmental protections. So you might have 49,000 square foot, but you don't have that much area to put your stuff on.
But we don't have a wetland issue. We have no issue with Concom. They've signed off. And then in addition, when you look at that garage, where that garage is, when you walk out of that garage, you are 11 feet from the back stairs. Where else would I put it? Why would I want to put it anywhere else than where we've put it? And we have all the zoning setbacks.
Because you can't.
It's in a perfect spot
right, okay.
for the utility of the house. We're
All
not.
right, I just feel there's nowhere else you can put it right there, so, thank you.
And it's
Okay.
interesting that the back neighbor, the Brancifortes and the Regals, have already looked at where we've mapped this out. And I mean, they're the immediate abutter to this, immediate abutter, and they're fine. I actually
Let's see if we
saved the
have-
life of the woman that lives there, which
Okay.
is another
All right,
whole
thank
story.
you, thank you. Anybody in the audience to speak in favor?
Good evening. Jared Hockman, 52 Ellsworth Road, Peabody, Massachusetts. First, I want to thank the commissioners, Madam Chairwoman, the clerks, for the hard work you do. You have a difficult job, and thank you for taking the time to listen to applicants and people in favor and people opposed. I just want to talk a little bit about the lot itself. It is on Lowell Street. I know Mr. Osborne raised some issues about the configuration of the structures on the lot. From what I gather, actually, let me step back a second. As a former conservation commissioner, I appreciate when applicants for projects like this, where there's a resource area, do go through the trouble of hiring a wetland specialist and asking Ms. Del Negro and the Conservation Commission for a request for determination. Whether or not that paperwork got to this body, I don't know, but it sounds like there was some work done for that. With regard to the configuration of the structures in the lot, there was a large portion of the lot that was used in the front for vehicles to be able to access the property and then be able to turn around. Lowell Street, in this particular area where this property is located, is so hazardous to back a vehicle out of this property that I think it played into the way in which structures were built when the property was subdivided. I think Ms. Dixon, Ms. Raponi's parents owned the property before, and then it was subdivided and a few houses or dwellings were put up there. So I think that there's a uniqueness in regard to the way in which structures were put on this property for safety purposes, not only the safety of the people who live in this house, but the safety of their guests, the safety of people who are coming to service the property. I think oil delivery trucks were mentioned. Probably safety for the fire department and safety for police and public services as well, because to back out of this property is incredibly dangerous. I believe it's across from the old Proctor House, Su Cheng's, at the traffic light where Prospect Street comes in to Lowell, and it's just a tough area. With regard to the structure that they're seeking to put on, they're not asking for any additional dwelling space or any additional living space. They're asking for the ability to put motor vehicles inside so that they would be able to safely be stored and protected from the elements. So in addition to those reasons, and it's not germane or really relevant to the meeting or to the application, but I do know the applicants fairly well. They're good residents of the city. They're involved in a lot of different aspects of the city, including things at the high school. They have a daughter who I believe is either graduating or just graduated from the high school, who she were involved in many things up there in positive ways. So for those reasons, I just want to put my words in favor of this application. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hockman. Anybody else to speak in favor? In opposition? Yes, please come up, state your name and address for the record.
Get to the podium. Yeah, I don't know who this fellow is. Yeah, thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Yeah, as I was leaving, this gentleman approached me. I don't even know who he is, and he said, "You're delusional." And I said, "Excuse me?" And he said, "You're delusional. You live on Ellsworth Road. What do you're delusional." And then I asked to come back to speak, and he wouldn't provide me space to come to the podium. I have no idea who the gentleman is. I don't know why he approached me and said that.
So at this point, I will let you speak. I'm not going to let you speak, sir. I'm sorry. It is my prerogative, as people already know, that the chair can limit the remarks. So hopefully, I'm sorry, I just won't let you speak. But
Okay.
I'm sure you can speak for me.
Good
Madam Chair,
evening.
just, PAT mics are not on. We are not back on.
Tell them to put us on again.
Good
Okay.
evening, everybody.
Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Anne Marie O'Keefe, and I live at 344 Lowell Street with my husband, Tim O'Keefe, for over about 23 years. I'm in opposition of this proposed variance of the Dixons. The reason being is 4 years ago, September 21st, 2020, there was a variance request for the same address for a two-story, 16 by 28 shed barn. It was described as a building for additional storage, specifically a snow blower. I do not know what the building that was approved and moved to the property is used for. Is it used for a business? The building code actually states it is unlawful to change the use of the building for what it was originally approved for without first filing a written application, and I'm not sure this has happened. Now we're here again for another structure, a third and really a fourth, because they've got that soft tent that they're using for one of their cars, accessory structures, a garage at 346 Lowell Street. This is a wetlands area. Materials and additional structures have already been added to 346 Lowell Street. It's changed the elevation, the grade of the property, which has negatively affected Tim and my property at 344 Lowell Street. There is runoff whenever there's rain. There's been truckloads of dirt being brought in, and I just totally state that my husband and I are in total opposition of this third or fourth structure. And I'm not sure that, having a position that they're going to take one building down and put another building up. I'm not sure this is the purpose of this zoning board.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So,
O'Keefe, Anne Marie O'Keefe.
I don't know, I just, look, we're a transparent board, we're a wonderful board. Under no circumstances should there ever be any derogatory comments to anybody within this room during a meeting or any other time. So I don't know if it got on TV. I don't care if it got in TV. I'm just saying right now, when you're at a zoning board meeting or a city council meeting or any other kind of meeting, let's act respectfully to everybody else, and there will be no confrontations in this board when we meet at all, if I can help it. So I just want that to be said. Very, very disappointed that that just happened. Anybody else to speak in opposition? Up to the podium, please, sir. Name and put it on, please, sir.
Is it on? The red button's on. Yeah. Hello? Yep. Hi, my name is Vincent Raponi Jr., 348A Lowell Street in Peabody. I'm against this project. I just really don't understand how much storage people need. He's got a two-story garage that was basically built just for storage, and now it's a wood shop. Did he get approval for a wood shop when he went for the variance? Or did he just say he wanted it for storage? I mean, it's starting to look like a trailer park over there. I mean, you know, they got this big house. I don't know how many years ago he put this huge extension off the back. Then he's got this thing next door. He's always had the 8x12 shed. Now he wants this. I mean, it's just, I just don't understand. Excuse me. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else in opposition? Anybody else to speak at all? Matters before the board.
Motion to close public hearing?
Second.
I'm just going to state, you know, I think you guys presented well.
Yes, come on up.
I like the way you presented. I actually love this piece of property. I go by it. I'm on the other side of the Proctor Brook. I've never really had a problem with you guys, but I'm not that close. I'm at the other end of the brook. But that still doesn't help us or grant us the authority to bend the ordinances as much as you're asking us to do. So I can't see a way where this can go forward, so I'm going to have to vote against it. Just wanted to state that.
Okay. Did you want to talk about what other people said? We heard everything else you have to say in your presentation. So
Sure.
please don't repeat yourself.
Yeah, I understand. I think the two abutters that have spoken in opposition are what we would now consider ex-family. We have not spoken with these people in years. And so that's a personal issue, and everything that they bring to the table is punitive, and that's what this is about. This is an
And I say this, wait, excuse me, before every meeting. We are not here to listen to, nor will we listen to, neighborhood tit for tats. And that's where you're going, and we can't listen to that.
I don't want to go down that road. All I'm saying is I know what that opposition is about. And the things that they're citing, things like it's a business. I have a full-time job. I'm on the road. There's many people in this city that have hobbies, that have a building structure to have that hobby, whether they garden, whether they have a wood shop, whatever they do. And why can't I have a wood shop and also a place
We're here for dimensional relief. We're not here for
and
personal
a place
stuff.
to put my automobile? And so
Let's go.
Motion to approve.
Roll call vote.
No, wait a second.
Now roll call vote.
No.
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 No, I'm sorry you've been denied. Number 5.
Thank you.
thank you.
Do we have number 5 here?
Number 5
Oh,
on,
go ahead.
on tonight's agenda is the application of Basil Garino and Carol Montgomery, 4 Glen Drive, seeking relief to build an addition with proposed right side yard of 10.5 feet rather than 20 feet required, and relief to rear yard of 23.4 feet rather than 35 feet required for a property located at 4 Glen Drive in the R1 zoning district.
Good evening. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Basil Garino. I live at 4 Glen Drive.
And I am Kimberly Wint.
It's my daughter, Kimberly.
Wint. W-I-N-D-T. D-T.
DT. Okay, tell us why you're here, please.
We're looking to build a family accessory living on the property, and given the odd shape, we're seeking a variance. That's it.
On the side.
I do want to say one thing. If I can find it quickly, I probably can't. You are, and I just want to make sure I'm correct with that. Of course, when you want to find it, you can't. Oh, yes. I'd like everybody, if you don't mind, to take a look on page 5. Describe the hardship. This is a hardship. This is a hardship because the shape of your lot and the grade of your lot requires you to come here for a variance. Now, I just have a couple of questions. So you are going to build a fala.
Yes.
And you're coming to us first. Have you talked to the building inspector about this?
Yes, I met with him a couple of times to talk to him to get, we've gone through this for like 14 months now, trying to get an idea of, a drawing that would work. And every time we came up with something, it was the setback again. And we finally came up with this one, which, required 10.5, I believe, on the side, and then in the back, I think it was 23. It came to 23.5, I believe.
And the
that was-
family living area is, I don't know, have it in front.
700.
It's approximately 700.
It is 700?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through the chair, just have one question, and I'm just a little confused, so that's my nature, I guess. On the left-hand top of the plan, it says second floor plan, that's your house, right?
Yes.
Oh, all right. Because I saw the file, and I goes, I never heard of a two-story file in my life, because it's only 700
Well,
square feet.
Yeah, it
so-
was in order to keep it compact,
Okay,
so to
right,
speak.
Okay, all right, okay, so this is separate and
Yes.
approved, separate entrance, 700 square feet. And I'm sure the building inspector talked to you about the requirements of the
yes.
file. It's gonna be inspected every year at a price of $3 million. And that once your family or anybody moves out, it's no longer.
Yeah. It's changed.
Oh, that's changed, that's right, that's
But,
right.
yes.
That's right, so, but he's told you everything. was-
Yes, yes, he was wonderful with, all of the, getting everything straight in order, because there was,
We got the 3 million put aside, just in case.
Anybody from the board want to ask any questions? Anybody in this audience, this full audience, would like to speak in?
That's my mom over
in
there.
favor? In opposition? Then tonight, this is before the board.
Motion to close public hearing. Second. Motion to approve.
Roll call vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, you are approved. I'm sorry you had to wait all night for this,
That's
but
okay.
you're all set.
it was definitely worth the wait, and we do thank you very much for your time. No,
I need a motion to accept the minutes, which were in
thank
front
you
of
so
you.
much.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anything else we want to discuss? Next meeting is October 21st. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.